Okay, do everyone have a copy of their map? Let's see.
Oh, were there enough copies for everyone?
Um,
Of the handbook?
when we come back from the tour, there'll be copies of this week's city paper. There's an article in here about the redevelopment in the Patterson Park neighborhoods. Ed Rokowski's talking about the good things about it. I'm talking about how it affects other neighborhoods, other development pieces. And y'all will get a copy of this. And you see here on your map, everything east of Charles Street is East Baltimore. And we're going east. Oh, we central, wait a minute. Yeah.
I'm gonna head out.
You're gonna take Orleans? Okay, good. We're east, we're going west now. We'll make a left up here on Orleans and go across the viaduct. What you're gonna hear me talk about is the territorialism. A lot of neighborhood associations are very territorial. The Orleans Street and Fayette Street, that's like the invisible Berlin Wall, okay? Everything south is predominantly white. Everything to the north, African American. My family moved into this neighborhood 56 years ago. All we up here is, oh, excuse me. Okay, we're like, wait a minute, I'm losing the map now.
Yeah, we're actually heading south right now.
Okay, so all the way over this way here, we have the Berea community up by Essen Highway and Federal Street, and we're gonna be riding through there. A lot of African Americans moved into those neighborhoods because a lot of jobs were available. Bethlehem Steel, Armco Steel, Continental Can Company, American Can Company, all the warehouses all down the harbor. So it employed a lot of people in African Americans and whites all around the Patterson Park area. But once those neighborhoods, once those factories went out of business, laid people off, there was no money in the community. And what happened was we lost a lot of quality businesses. So we lost a lot of banks. We lost Levinson and Klein, the gas and electric company. So a lot of resources we lost mainly up here in the northern area. So what is happening in the northern area, we're closer to Johns Hopkins. So what happened was, once these houses became available, Hopkins started buying up a lot of property, house by house, block by block. They bought up closed up supermarkets. They bought up the little small schools. And it's not only Hopkins, but private investors as well. What we noticed a few years ago, and this piece was in city paper, we as community organizations would file complaints on slum landlords, and we couldn't get nowhere. The General Superintendent of Housing Code Enforcement was named Jack Reed. I knew him personally. When we would file a complaint, we would be told that they're not worried about it because the landlords know that Jack Reed owns a lot of vacant property. So when we approached Jack Reed actually came to one of my neighborhood meetings and really totally disrespected me as a leader in my neighborhood association. So I called the the Sun papers, and Jim Hayner, investigating reporter, he did an article on it. But what we found out was that not only was Jack Reed one of the largest slum landlords over here east of Hopkins, he was one of the largest slum landlords in the whole city. So we came up with the Dirty Dozen list. And the Dirty Dozen list came up with the 12 worst landlords. And Hopkins, of course, was one of them. I'm gonna stop right here for now. To the left, this used to be Old Town Mall, okay, African American Mall. It's been torn down years ago. They promised years ago they were going to rebuild it. To the right, this was a public high-rise, Lafayette. They tore these down. 60% of these houses are home ownership. The rest of them are rental units. Y'all gonna drive a little slower too.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there's no seat right here. But this is a Dunbar High School right over here on the corner. Now, a lot of athletes and other scholars have come from out of the school. A lot of your present basketball players, Reggie Lewis, that has the great Blacks and Wax Museum downtown, grew up from out of here. You have basketball players like Muggsy Bogues, came from out of here. Almost all these kids that graduated out of the school were from out of East Baltimore. But what happened was that the school board raised the curriculum grade level, and a lot of kids in this neighborhood could no longer was qualified to come to the school. So now it's a citywide school. There's less than 30% of the kids in this school right now are from out of East Baltimore. They come from all over the city. Less than 30%. Okay? Once again, I believe, I worked under 3 different mayors here in Baltimore City. Schaefer, Dewburns, and Smoke. To me, there's 2 ways of destroying creating ghettos and poor neighborhoods. You take the resources out of the community. And that's what they've done here, not only the commercial businesses, but also the schools. The other way you decay communities is you move the people out of the area. And when we go further south, I'm gonna show you how they're moving, how Hispanics are being forced to move up here in the north, but all their resources are all down here on Broadway. Like, why would you move them up here and you don't bring the resources? All their health clinics, bilingual speaking commercial businesses, all their support programs and everything. And they come all the way up here where there's a language barrier, okay? And then they're bringing them into a neighborhood that also has problems. To me, that just creates problems. Now, once again, this building right here, this is the rear of a shopping center. So this neighborhood lost a drugstore, they lost the dentist's office, they lost the supermarket, but they used to cater to all the public housing that are now being torn down. The church here, the Lutheran Church, and this church right here, both of them are 2 different denominations, but they're the first African-American churches in the United States in their faith. One's the Lutheran Church, the other one the Baptist Church. Everything over here to the right, this parking is Johns Hopkins. All this was Johns Hopkins. Was housing. You see over here, Lester Morton Courts, okay? They just gave this a facelift by the development company that's owned by the politicians, East Baltimore Development Corporation. The only thing they did to these buildings was put these fronts on here. The maroon color, that was it. They're raising these people rent. This was supposed to be low-income housing. These people are going to have to move, okay? The question was, how do they look inside? I'm going to show you other houses on the tours, but your common walls between your house is supposed to be at least 18 to 16 inches thick. These are 1 cinder block. These were not built to be long-term properties. These are ideal properties for Johns Hopkins students to one day move into. So you can see the domination of Johns Hopkins. Here at Johns Hopkins, you talk about disconnecting the community. There's a disconnect in Johns Hopkins. You got 5 different Johns Hopkins, neither one of them work together. You would think that they would have a coalition and keep in touch with each other. So you got different departments of Johns Hopkins buying up different properties throughout the neighborhood, really not looking at what how they're affecting the community. It's a lot of stuff to talk about, so I'm gonna be switching back and forth. Are y'all familiar with the name B. Getty?
Yep.
Homeless woman, hit the lottery, started feeding people from out of her house. For years, she's been feeding tens of thousands of people, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and throughout the year. Johns Hopkins gave her honorary doctorate, whatnot. They said that they got on the news and said, and when she passed away, they said they was going to give her a memorial and what have you. This tree, right over here, the very first one, you can see the little plaque at the bottom. Johns Hopkins put on the news, we're going to respect this woman, show you how much we appreciate it and everything. They gave her a plaque that big. It's right there in front of that tree. If the grass is too long, too high, you won't even see it. The library here is going to have to go because Hopkins purchased all this. From Monument Street, we just passed to Fayette Street. From Broadway here, going all the way back 2 blocks to Wolf Street. All this was public housing. All those people was forced to move to another location. To the right here was Church Home Hospital. There was a problem here. Church, a lot of doctors and administrators from Hopkins were in here. For some reason, the facility crashed. So Hopkins didn't purchase the property straight up. What happened was the community was saying, hire these people and put them in Hopkins, you buy the property. But it became a swap with the city. The city owned Churchstone and Hopkins owned the property over here, so they did a switch, okay? So since the city didn't have no money to demolish the houses, but Hopkins did, the deal is that Hopkins now owned all this property over here. The whole hospital, they got their people in there. Number two, they're the ones that's doing all the development over here in public housing where the people was forced to move out. No, we're not even there yet. Okay, but this is the other neighbors that they're not talking about. Huh?
What neighborhoods are they?
What now?
What neighborhoods are they?
We're in Washington Hill. The corner house right here is Miss Betty Hyatt, longtime community advocate in this area. When the city and Hopkins was talking about this deal, they never even contacted Miss Hyatt or her association, nor Butchers Hill or any other surrounding neighborhood organization on the deal that they made. This park right here on our left is dedicated to Betty Hyatt as well, because she's been a long-time community advocate down here in this area. Back about this hospital here. The reason why Hopkins didn't take those employees from Church Home was because they didn't want to have to deal with their pensions and their retirements. But once they were unemployed, Hopkins allowed them to come back and get a job at Hopkins, so they started back off from day one. You got people that have been working in there for 10, 20, 25 years.
They had pensions and they were simply
dismissed. That was it.
When was that?
Oh, God. Can't give you a date right now. It's not registering right now, but I can get it for you because I got it at home. See the public housing here? Yes. This the whole city square block. It goes back 3 blocks. Okay, all was public housing. Hopkins owned all this. This is the building right here, 10 South Wolf Street. This is SECO, Southeast Community Organization. Okay, now the church right here on the corner right here is St. Michael's Outreach. In the next little street, when we make this left right here, you have Lisa Nickmeyer. Lisa Nickmeyer deals with all Hispanic social concerns, housing, health, counseling, you name it, they do it all from out of here. And some of you may know, with the Hispanic population, you got people with different dialects from different countries, and some of them don't work together. Well, Lisa has found a way to communicate with all of them. So there's a lot of positive work being done from out of here. On the corner right here on the right is the Julie Community Center. The founder and director is Sister Bobby English. She's been here for a very long time. It's a faith-based youth program, and she works with the family on nourishing programs. Sister Bobby English is one of the first white community advocates to go on the other side of Orleans Street to start working with African-American groups and churches, okay, to break that disconnect. But remember I was saying, Fayette Street and Orleans have always been this very invisible wall here, where neighborhood groups just didn't communicate. Even down here, you got certain neighborhood groups that still don't even work together. And I think Fells Point would be a prime example. In Fells Point, it used to be just Fells Point. But then when what they said, the yuppies started moving in and property value started going up, well, they had a different view of what they want the community to look like. The businesses